This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Hey, good morning. Welcome on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. Thank you for watching. I could not have timed this better. We have our tropics segment here today, and I could not have timed it any better. We have a storm in the Atlantic Ocean, finally. For the first time this year, Tropical Storm Andrea has formed. Now, I know what you're thinking. Evan, why are you getting so excited? It's tropics, it's storms, and these do cause, devastation, obviously. This is what we want to avoid. And the answer to your question is yes, you are correct about all those things. But there is no need to worry about Andrea at all. At all. But hey, we're going to go over the full forecast of where Andrea is headed, where it's formed, where it's at, and see if any other storms are looking to form over the next several days around the Atlantic Ocean, because once it kind of starts up, then we could kickstart a little more energy in other spots of the Atlantic Ocean as well. So that's on the docket here today on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I scheduled this. You can ask my colleagues. I scheduled this back last Friday. I said, hey, I was going to do the tropics on Tuesday, and that was even before I knew an area of interest was forming out in the Atlantic Ocean. So the first storm has arrived out in the tropics. We're going to go over your full tropical forecast here in just a little bit after we go over the hot, humid forecast around the Arctic that will pose and will force a little bit of some storms here for this afternoon. So watch out for that. All right, let's get straight into the breakdown, shall we? Beautiful live look out into Bossier City there, out towards I-20. You can kind of see that road crossing from west-east, going out toward the sunshine. Got a little bit of cloud cover around, but I believe no rain out here for the moment, which is nice. I believe the same thing can be said about Texarkana, I believe. Let's check in on that camera. Yeah, beautiful sunshine and blue skies. No complaints all the way around. Again, for those of you just joining us, hey, welcome on. If you want to pop on over to our YouTube stream, that is where you can say comments and ask questions. All right? So pretty cool. And if you do have any questions, we'll get to those at the end of the First Alert Weather Breakdown. For you, well, no, sorry, Evan. At the end of the local forecast before we get into the tropical forecast. Okay. All right, so on to the next one. Weather headlines here for the day today. We have lots of hot sunshine and with a few stray showers around the Arctic here for today. Now, keep this ingrained in your brain again. Hot temperatures, stray showers, and lots of sunshine. I really want to emphasize as well, stray showers, it's not going to be much at all. We still have plenty of sunshine over the next several days. In fact, I think most of the days will stay overall dry. Just watch out for a brief storm or two that could happen any of these afternoons. We'll go over that more in the future track here coming on up. But essentially, this is a trend that we are stuck with. As we kind of mentioned yesterday, we are stuck in place. That still continues on for today. Unfortunately, I don't really see an end to this still. Through the weekend we go, and we're still dealing with high temperatures, lots of sunshine, and stray bits of some rain everywhere. So let's look at temperatures first, shall we? We have, first of all, before we get into the main message, actually, I want to take a look at the current temps actually right now before we talk about just how hot it's going to get later today and talk about that main storyboard for the temperatures. Essentially 88 degrees, the temperature right now in Shreveport, 89 for Texarkana, 88 in Natchitoches, 84 in DeQueen. And just like yesterday, right where we left them off, around this time frame, feels like temperatures scorching into the mid to upper 90s, even up to 100 degrees already in Texarkana. Oh, man. Sorry, I'm just also bracing myself because after this podcast, I'm going out there, essentially. Anyways, temperature outlook. So we're going to let this play on. Essentially, you want to watch that high-pressure system to our east. If you want to blame our forecast for being honestly kind of boring and being kind of stagnant and being the same from day to day to day to day, you can blame that on that high-pressure system. So essentially, as our upper air as our upper air analysis, or as our upper air systems, such as that high pressure system to our east, stay still, as long as those are staying still, then overall our forecast is staying still. If you want to get various weather conditions and various, if you want to get different kinds of weather, such as rain, more frequent rain, or abundant sunshine, where we're not dealing with any rain at all. The point is, if you want the weather to change, period, you need these upper level systems, such as a high pressure system, for example, off to our east. You need that to move. It does not move for the next week entirely. Again, this right here is the big culprit. Big culprit, all right? And if you've been staring throughout that entire temperature outlook, in fact, I'm going to play it over again one more time here for you. I mean, I don't even need to do that because y'all probably already know. We're sticking with the heat. If you look at the cooler temperatures out towards the Rockies, they stay out by the Rockies. There is no cold front that's coming down here at all over the course of the next week, as that high pressure system remains and continues to trap us in with hot, humid air, and again, continues to just trap that heat in place here. So I want to show you this graphic because this shows you the extent to that high pressure system. It is a powerful one. Again, this is a high pressure system that is not moving over the course of the next week, and it's not just affecting us. It is overarching over basically the entire eastern half of the United States here for the most part with heat advisories. We have heat advisories in Maine and excessive heat warnings in Maine, which actually step above a heat advisory up near there. Most of the East Coast dealing with excessive heat warnings. Just, Chicago, and I don't believe this Chicago as much anymore, but Boston today is reaching as highs that rival ours here for this afternoon, which is kind of wild to think about for a coastal town in the Northeast. So essentially, we are, yes, a part of that. Technically the tail end, but we're still underneath our 5th consecutive heat advisory, again, for this afternoon. Now, I do want to mention a little change to the heat advisory in for today. Change, Evan, you speak of. That's quite a rare commodity around here. Well, yes, it is. Essentially, we have a heat advisory in effect for 2 more counties than what was incorporated for yesterday. We now have a heat advisory that does include Little River County, just north of Texarkana, and also for McCurtain County in Oklahoma. Those 2 counties were not underneath the heat advisory yesterday, but now, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Again, 5th straight day. High five. We made it to 5 straight days of heat advisories underneath temperatures, which continue to maintain the same level. Again, because high pressure ain't going anywhere. 95, Texarkana. 93 in Foreman. 95 in Atlanta. I wish there were temperatures in the 80s. 92 in Center. 92 Austin Gilmer and Mount Pleasant. 95 in Shreveport. 94 for Natchitoches this afternoon. 94 for Bienville as well. For those feels like temperatures, they will be in the low 100s here for the afternoon hours. Upper 90s as well. Maybe for a few of those, a few of you who will be lucky. Regardless, it's going to be scorching hot. Not just today, but in for the next several days. Mornings also getting down into the 70s once more before stretching into those low 100s once more here for Wednesday afternoon. You would think that I really haven't changed this graphic at all since last week, and I mean, to a certain degree, you're right. Next 5 days, if anything, we're increasing those temperatures by a degree or 2, especially heading into the second half of the work week and into the weekend. Highs could reach 98 degrees. Yes, 98 degrees here for this coming Saturday and Sunday. So I think you get the picture. Heat staying here. Now let's get to the conditions, the second half of things around here, because this will be changing a little bit around. I do admit that. Here, just past lunchtime, we're expecting the formation of just a few little storms starting around, say, 1, 2 p.m., and it's going to start to spread a little more, especially anywhere around the Arklatex. So look at that. I mean, we got some cells possible around Natchitoches, Nacogdoches, Mount Pleasant, Texarkana, even Shreveport potentially getting in the action. The point is these storms could be anywhere around the region here for this afternoon. Could even continue into the evening hours, too, with a few downsists of some heavy rainfall. Again, this could continue as late as the evening hours tonight before drying up into the overnight. And then once we dry up, thankfully, we're just getting a stray shower or 2 left in here for each for Wednesday afternoon and again for Thursday as well. But certainly the future track's looking to not give us as many storms here for each Wednesday afternoon and Thursday afternoon compared to this afternoon. So I know the radar picture yesterday afternoon actually didn't turn out to be that impressive, but I'm expecting a number more numerous storms around here for this afternoon, essentially. Here for us in the Arclitex. So I got about a 10% rain chance here for your Wednesday and Thursday. I think that'll might increase just a little bit in for this coming weekend. Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be hot, 98 degrees, mostly sunny. And again, a pop-up afternoon storm is possible, but not likely here at this point. It's kind of what happened this past Sunday, where you got a kind of few traces of some storms around the Arclitex, but it overall didn't impact your day too greatly, so to speak. So maybe just have the rain gear handy just in case. Worst case, but you should be fine here for the most part all around the Arclitex. Hey, 7-day forecast now. Again, temperatures aren't changing too much. Rain chances aren't changing too much either. The only change I've got is that if you want to call any day of the week a rainy day, today would be that day pretty much. If it's going to rain at all this week, it's going to rain today. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I just have 10% rain chances, but overall they don't look that convincing. Overall, we should pretty much fully dry each day from Wednesday through Friday, with, again, maybe a spotty storm here for this afternoon only. Then those spotty storm coverages could return a little more into fruition here once into the weekend. And also into early next week. I mean, again, we have no change. Not only in the 7-day forecast, but this 12-day forecast also looks eerily similar as well. No break from the heat, no break from the sunshine. I mean, we love sunshine. Don't get me wrong. We love sunshine. But we don't have any, I guess, no break from the heat. That's what I'm trying to get at. Just straight chances of rain here each day consistently for the next week or so. All right, coming up next, we have a full look at your tropics forecast, which is more than just saying, hey, nothing's going to develop. Because guess what? Something has developed. Something has developed. And yes, well, I would say I'm happy about it in a way. Mainly because it's not affecting anybody. Okay. We'll get into the full tropics forecast and talk about the first storm that formed in the Atlantic Ocean. And it just, again, it formed about an hour and a half ago. We'll have more details on that coming after a quick break for me to take a sip of water. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the First Alert with Breakdown. And again, I'm meteorologist Evan Thompson. Thanks for hanging around for the full local forecast. And I won't say most importantly, but thank you, especially to those of you who have stuck around for our exclusive content here for the day today, which is looking all into the tropics of the Atlantic Ocean. Again, actually, before we get into this real quick, I did promise that I would answer questions on YouTube real quick. I'm just going to answer the one question on YouTube real quick, and it just asks a behind-the-scenes question. Does everybody, Christian, first of all, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the stream, and thanks for commenting as well on our YouTube page. Does everybody have their own show in the computer in Max? Just so you know, Max is what our weather software is a part of. It's just the name brand, essentially, that runs our weather graphics system entirely. And yes, everybody does have their own show. Everybody does have their own show, and that kind of makes it unique. You know, me, I have my own show. CJ has his own show. Austin, Matt, all of them have their own shows to provide their whatever they seem fit to get out their message for the weather forecast, and it makes it unique, so you're not just looking at the same show from day to day, so to speak. I always try to be a little more creative and try to get different graphics in for you guys. Anyways, let's get back into the first alert check to your tropics. All right, so again, for those of you just joining us here, this is our exclusive content here for the day today, is just looking at the tropics. We're going over once every single week for the rest of the tropic season. We will be diving into the tropics. What's happening, what's going on, why is it so active, why are the storms around, or why is it so quiet? Why is there nothing around? That's been the latter half has been the question for the last 2 to 3 weeks. To be fair, it's June and July, and we usually don't expect much at all during these 2 months. But we have something finally to discuss. Again, our first storm of the year just formed a little less than 2 hours ago. Tropical Storm Andrea. So again, we keep it your first alert, eye on the tropics. We dive into this very briefly during typical news shows, just with a graphic, if that. Even then, I usually put that in like a third of my forecast if I have time, just to briefly go over it, because it usually doesn't impact the local Arclitex weather, usually. But on the first alert with a breakdown, this is what we have time for. This is what we have time to dive into. And always keep you guys first alert on what's going on there, because case in point from Barrow last year, you really want to make sure something is not going and chugging towards the Arclitex. All right, tropical storm. Here's our tropical satellite. You can see, by the way, Tropical Storm Andrea on this map. Now, the map will go towards it after I click one more button here. But I wanted to play a game with you guys, actually, and let you see if you can actually spot this storm on your own. And I'm actually going to get rid of my face so you can see the full outlook. Tropical Storm Andrea is visible on this picture. Just so you know. Does it look like it's anywhere? Is it in the Gulf of Mexico? No. Let me first say that, or else I would not be excited and not play this game with you. Gulf of Mexico just has a couple Gulf spotty storms, but nothing that's organizing into a circulation, thankfully. Thankfully, it is not that little cluster of storms that's headed westward towards Florida. No, it is way... Wait, hold up. I gotta go back to my graphics. It is way over eastward. There it is. That, my friends, is Tropical Storm Andrea. And if you're like, wow, is that really a tropical storm? Well, yes, technically, according to the National Hurricane Center. In fact, what they're what they're looking at is this closed circulation, which technically is forming right in here. It needs that, number one. Number two, it does have sustained winds at 40 miles an hour. It does need that, at least, to produce a tropical storm. For right now, it is as weak as a tropical storm can be. And even when you see and look at the latter half of this loop, the east wing of this is quickly drying up, actually, and we're having a skeleton, almost, even though the storm is just formed in right now. So yes, that is Tropical Storm Andrea. It's at 40 miles an hour. It is quickly moving up to the north and east at 17 miles an hour, which is actually pretty swift for a tropical system. Now, before we get into the forecast cone again, let me zoom out to show you again in retrospect of where this exactly is. This is well off the coast of the United States, period. This is flat out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. This technically, the United States is closer to the storm than Europe, but you get the point. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and again, it's moving north and east away from anywhere around here. So as we carry on throughout the forecast loop here, it's expected to maintain itself at 40 miles an hour through tonight, through Tuesday at 8 p.m., and then it's going to dissipate into the overnight hours. So guess what? This is going to be a very incredibly short-lived system that doesn't even exist tomorrow. You heard that right. This is something that's probably going to be existing for a span of 12 to 24 hours, and we're coming up on 2 hours of its existence. So it's expected, again, to really wash itself out in the next day or so. So great news in that, number one. Number two, again, it's impacting nobody. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's going to continue to stay there. It's weak. It's everything you want out of a tropical system, away from everybody. Away from everybody. So that is the first storm of the year. Now let's get to other things tropic-wise before we wrap up the segment. So yes, that's why I'm enthusiastic with the first storm of the season, and thankfully it's not one we're concerned about at all. All right, so climatologically speaking, obviously June and July. Those are 2 months where we have a storm or two, usually. And in case in point, this is the first storm of the entire year here right now. August is really the month where it starts to ramp up. August, September, and October is the peak of the season, right when that fall really peaks on up. And most of that's because of the water level, the water heat content really ramping up and peaking during that time frame rather than June and July in for us in the Arctic. Regardless, I mean, the Gulf's ready for a tropical system to hit. It's just got to form there eventually sometime. We'll say, especially in the past week, I've noticed as well an influx of some hotter temperatures right on the Gulf edge. I think from like the Louisiana coastline over to like Tallahassee in Florida. On the Florida Panhandle, not the Florida Peninsula. I mean, with some of these temperatures reaching up to 87 and 86 degrees, while the bulk of the Gulf still at 84, 85, but you get the point. Still incredibly hot all around the Arctic and all around the Atlantic Ocean, period. This last thing we'll go into is kind of a future track to track any kind of circulations ongoing within the next couple of days. If you see the Gulf, again, we got a good surge of Gulf moisture that's trying to give us, again, spotty storms, especially on the coastline of like Houston and New Orleans over the next couple of days, but nothing of which is forming and nothing of which has enough power and enough moisture to produce any bits of tropical systems at all. Looks like we have some of these like little fronts of rain. I'm kind of going back on the loop here. Now I'm going forward. Looks like I got these little fronts of rain cruising through the Caribbean highlands and then just immediately hitting Central America, but they don't have any rotation to them, as you see. They're more like cold fronts, honestly, and not really an area of circulation. And thankfully, looks like everything continues to be nice and easy going here for the most part over the next 7 days, all the way through Sunday. You don't really see a closed area of circulation trying to gain strength at all within the Arctic. All right, so that was a look at your full tropics forecast. Thank you all for joining. Christian says, seems like you could do a whole lot in Max. Yes, I can. Weather graphics are a big, helpful tool, and I wouldn't say it makes my job easy, but makes it easier. That's for sure. So thank you all for watching the Tropic segment here on First Alert with a Breakdown. No worries. Don't you be at home worrying at all. We'll keep you First Alert the moment anything starts to form at all. Always here from KSLA News 12 at the First Alert with a Breakdown. So you have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much for joining us on this Tuesday. Tomorrow I will be back. We will be talking. What am I talking about for the middle of this week? Put on the spot, and I don't remember what I was going to talk about. I know I have a list. I know what I'm doing Thursday, but tomorrow's not Thursday. What was I doing tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow I wanted to go into a science of things. I want to discuss what a sun halo is. Pretty cool. For those of you especially that catch some photos of that. It is a pretty cool summer phenomenon with like a halo feature that happens around the sun. We'll talk about the science of how that happens tomorrow. Our exclusive content for First Alert with a Breakdown. You have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us again. I will see you later. Peace out. Remember, be back tomorrow, 10:30 on First Alert with a Breakdown. Be there, be square. Most importantly, be where they're aware. See ya.